naked shamanism. Welcome to With Insights Radio. I'm your host, Iggy Garcia. I will take you on a journey across the universe through shamanism, metaphysical, and holistic. So sit back and relax and enjoy the show. Welcome to Iggy Garcia Live, episode 11, Examining Belief Systems and Weaving Your Magic. That's what we're going to be talking about today. That's our topic. In the show, we try to share things that are on our mind about what we would like to accomplish and things, how we would like to live our lives. Our lives are very magical, very complicated, and very unique, and very our own. So, from spinning off from our show from last night on With Insights Radio, those of you who tuned in on our Monday show, I was we talked a little bit about what we're doing today. So today, what I wanted to talk about was examining the belief systems that we have, and from those belief systems, how we weave our own magic with it. Because what I find is a lot of us, have our belief systems, but our belief systems sometimes are things that are passed down from generation to generation, from friends and families, mostly family, the majority of the time. So what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to at least, talk about it a little bit and maybe get some callers in and share their thoughts. And the call number 646-595-3440. We also have a chat room here with Insights. If you go to withinsightsradio.com, you can actually listen to the show live, or you can watch it on this live stream. I want to welcome everybody who's on the live stream. I want to thank Dwight, Susan, and I believe Jenny, I think, is here. So thanks for joining me today. So belief systems, like I said, they're as unique as an individual is. A lot of us, probably here in the United States, have a big foundation, Christianity foundation. Not everybody, but a majority of it. A lot of us talk about how, our country is founded by Christian principles and that our founding fathers were this way. Part of that is true, part of it's not true. There's a lot of things that this country was founded on. A lot of this country was actually founded on Masonic, principles. You see a lot of the Masonic, artifacts, a lot of the things that are left behind, the way things are built. There's a lot of mystery behind that. There's a lot of, there's a lot of, I don't know, juju, whatever, or spooky stuff that people kind of fall into. This is what I find about belief systems, me personally. And when I talk in this manner, I talk more about myself, and I just try to share with you how I interpret, how I experience it. For example, the Masons, who are a big part of this history of this country. If you're not a Mason, then it's very difficult to understand what they really were doing or what they were trying to do. We can only speculate and we can only construct in our minds and put together the pieces and parts from the outside if it's a closed society. Just like Christianity, we still, as much as it's in the open, we still construct in our mind what it looks like and what it presents to us. But yet we still don't understand it because a lot of people become very fanatical with their belief systems. And Islam is another example. For us to sit here and try to determine what is going on in Islam is like, looking through a glass in the zoo at the gorillas and wondering if they're happy and wondering if that's the way they live in the wild. Some people believe they do. That's kind of what it is. So for us to examine our belief systems is try to understand where we came from, where our foundation came from, where we came from, and why we have the belief system we do, and why we have the emotions that we carry along with that. Because so many of us, kind of follow, we kind of follow the leader because that's kind of the habit that we do as human beings. We try to put ourselves and align ourselves with people and belief systems that are very similar to ours. And as we grow up and as we're growing as children, we tend to be, we tend to learn from the parents that we have or grandparents, whoever is more active in the belief system, who's more active in sharing that with us. And so we carry that along. So as a child, we go to church, we go to synagogue, or we go to temple, whatever you want to call it. We go to meditation class, or, we go to the park and we hike through the woods, whatever you want to call it. It's somebody's construct, somebody's belief. Somebody started that. Somewhere along the lines, that was somebody's idea, someone's inspiration, someone's spiritual spark, and something that just shot right into us and through us and down into the ground and up into the sky and to every part of the universe that could possibly happen. Belief systems are powerful, super, super, super powerful. This election year is a good example. These are, we start to believe and buy into certain things, and that's normal. Human beings do that because human beings want to be part of something. We want to be on something that's positive, on the most up and up. Most humans want to be positive. Most humans want peace and love and harmony. I'm sure there are groups out there, and I really don't know them, so that's good for me because that don't want that, but they are out there. And I've talked to people, I've met people, but in general, most human beings want to be on the positive side of life, positive side of things, and they want to be part of something that's good for the beneficial of mankind. And so this election year is a very, and I don't want to talk politics too much, but this election year has been really interesting. And I've been through many elections, but this election year has been very, very interesting because it's been a challenging year for all of us. It's been a challenging moment for us to see the world, how we interpret it, and then filter it back into our mind through our rose colored glasses that we carry, and then try to understand what we're actually hearing, what we're actually seeing. Well, there's obviously a need for change. And every 4 years, there's always a need for change. Actually, every day, I think there's a need for change. We always want to improve ourselves and become better. But every four cycles that we go through in this presidential year that we go, we're in that election year now. We're actually, you know, we're really, really, really engaged. Even if the people who don't say they're engaged and don't like politics, they're very engaged more than you probably think. The politics really brings something out of us, really brings a spirit out of us that we probably just hold on for 4 years and we wait for those 4 years to go by and we wonder why everything kind of seems like it's the same, but it's not the same necessarily. There are some things that will benefit some and not benefit others. That's just kind of how the system is built. There's just no way around it. I don't believe there's ever going to be a one sure way to please everybody. I would love to see that happen, but it's very, 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 very rare for that to happen. But here in this presidential cycle, we've had several candidates. On the Republican side, we had we have a whole slew, over 17 candidates. On the Democrat side, I think we started with three, possibly. One dropped out after the first debate. I believe it was O'Malley, if I'm not mistaken. And then we ended up with Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. On the other side, we had Trump and all the Cruz, Rubio, Christie, Jeb Bush, all those guys. Okay, so we have these creations of belief systems. We have these belief systems that we call the Democratic Party, that we call the Republican Party, and we hang on to these things, and we engulf ourselves into these things. And then along comes a man named Bernie Sanders who comes with these great, amazing ideas and these great belief systems. He's an independent, and he turns Democrat. He changes his affiliation, which is good. He has the right to do that. And and then he sells us this, like they all do. They all sell us, and they all try to promote us, and they have this vision and these dreams. And then the most amazing thing happens. The most amazing thing happens. You start to see how people separate into camps. The person who you thought was conservative is all of a sudden more liberal. The person you thought was more liberal all of a sudden becomes more conservative. And the other person becomes more moderate. You start to see all these ideas working together, and they start to clash. So this clashing occurs because we want to put ourselves in categories. We start to categorize our belief systems, but we don't really have a place to really put all our belief systems in. We don't have a place for them to actually fit into one mold properly. So we try to align ourselves to the closest thing that we can possibly find. And of course, we are kind of stuck with the candidates that we have. We're stuck with them because it's just the way the system is designed. So these belief systems that we carry, we push them forward, and then we share them. We share them, and then they share them with us, and they hear us. Believe me, they hear us more than you think. And then they try to figure out what's best for the country, what's best for us, what's best for this. And so we fall into these belief systems. So now we're all in one camp. Some of us are in this camp, and some of us are in this camp. We have these three camps, and we're working through these camps. One camp has one way they want to portray things, another camp has another way they want to say things. But the funny thing and the interesting thing that I find in anything, in religion, politics, anything, the beliefs can become very, very ingrained and very powerful. So much that we can actually become very fanatical to the point that we think that we have to defend that, that we have to be part of that, that we have to be a version of that. And so I find that very, very interesting. It's almost like, well, it is a club. I mean, it is a party. So, I mean, that's the right terminology for it. So we got to align ourselves with that. But for a lot of people, it's difficult. It's a lot of people are really, really confused and really frustrated because neither one of these parties necessarily fill that gap. And then we have some place in the middle that we don't have. We don't have a middle ground. We try to find a middle ground. We try to dance in the middle a little bit, and we try to resonate in there, but we can't because at some point there is no middle. It becomes very black and white to the point where I have to either vote this way or that way. In last night's show, which I found very interesting, I gave two different points of view, especially number one with Bernie Sanders and Ted Cruz. Of course, every man and every woman makes their own decision for themselves, what's best for them in their lives, and what is important for them, and what they must accomplish for themselves. And I respect that and I honor that wholeheartedly. And that's super, super, super important for me. Ted Cruz, for example, when he was doing his speech at the RNC, he didn't endorse Donald Trump. He didn't endorse Donald Trump because in his heart, he believed that somebody who would attack his family, attack his values, wasn't worthy of his vote. And I honor and respect that. I respect that because that takes a lot of courage to stand up to somebody and say, hey, you know what? And I'm not a big Cruz fan. I'm not this Cruz fan guy, but it takes a lot of courage to stand up there and say, hey, you know what? I'm not doing this. He badmouthed my wife. He badmouthed my dad, and and he talks crap about everybody, and that was good. Then on the other hand, you have Bernie Sanders, and I don't know. Okay, I'm just guessing here. This is my opinion. These are just my experiences, how I experience these things. I see Bernie Sanders go through a whole nother gamut of politics. You see how, and I'm only reporting because this is the way I interpret it. Emails come out about how there was some type of sabotage, and see, this is how I am interpreting it. Some type of sabotage against Bernie Sanders, and that it was a leak, and the leak expressed how they didn't really want to support him. They didn't believe that his religious beliefs were going to help the campaign and blah 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 and going on and on. And then yet, but he had also the courage. He had a different type of courage. Now he had a different type of belief system that he was going to stand, and then if he stayed with the people and the people saw that at least he was going to work with the team, that there would be respect from there. Some people didn't take it that way, but I understood what he was doing too. I understood in order for him to get across his values, his belief system, the things that he needed to share, he had to be part of the group because in that group, that's just how it works in this particular cycle. So for Bernie Sanders to do what he did was probably super very difficult. The man looked like he was about to cry, and I mean that was takes a lot of courage just to hold back the tears and know all the hard work that you put in. I'm not going to say that none of these candidates worked hard because they all do. They all sacrifice. They all have given. They've all put aside things that they could have been doing because they want to betterment our country. Are they right or wrong? That's for us to decide as individuals, as a group, and what's best for them. And Bernie Sanders did his best, and I'll give him kudos for that. Now, on the other I didn't mean to say ass, sorry about that, aspect of life, you have Donald Trump, a completely different candidate, completely different person, but yet he's human like all of us. He has his flaws. I have my flaws. We're all flawed. We're not perfect. We're not designed. There's perfection in the imperfection. So Donald Trump comes across and he's a very boisterous and very pushy, and he pushes his agendas and he says whatever's on his mind. For a lot of people I've talked to have told me, you know what, it's nice to have somebody say how they really feel. And then another part of me is like, well, yes and no. I mean, I really don't want to know what he's thinking. Sometimes he goes a little deep and goes down a little dark, but yet he appeals to some group and some party. And to say that these people are uneducated and that they're not smart, that's labeling and that's shaming and that's incorrect. What we're really witnessing today is that we have issues in this country, that we have serious, serious, serious problems, that we have very serious disconnects between different minority groups by different belief systems, different people in general, but we're all human beings. We're all on this planet together, living together. And yet we have such an array and such uh, a mix of emotions and feelings and things that are happening. And it's fascinating. For me, it's very fascinating because I've heard people say, Donald Trump has brought an awakening. Bernie Sanders has brought an awakening. Hillary Clinton's brought an awareness. But they never said her really being an awakening, but she kind of represents the old system. But then you have Bernie Sanders and then you have Donald Trump, which bring completely different values and views. And so what happens is these people are saying, well, it's an awakening. But see, awakening, it doesn't mean that it has to be an enlightened thing. I didn't say enlightened, I said awakened. There's a difference to being enlightened and to be awakened because there's two versions of that. Because an enlightenment is completely opposite. You get enlightened after maybe you become awakened, but when you awake to the fact that we have something that we need to work on, and that our belief systems that we are carrying on and on from life to life, from place to person, you know, there's something has to change. There has to be a give. Now, will everything get fixed? Absolutely not, because that's just the way we are. We will not fix everything in this cycle or 4 cycles. I'm not promoting violence or anything like that, but I'm saying, it may get nasty one day. We may not be here to see that. We may not be here, but we do have something going on. We have a reality star, candidate, and then we have the old system. But here's the problem. This reality candidate, his belief systems are what he's projecting. And see, this is where I wanted to talk about the weaving of your magic. Okay? And the weaving of the magic. And this is important because the weaving of the magic is super, super important. We all weave. We all weave our magic. Magic. Okay? The magic that we have inside, we share with everybody. Every human being carries that magic, carries that gift. To think that you are not magical, that you are not important, you know, I'm here to tell you that you are. If you weren't here, there's a reason you're here. Every person who's online right now, everybody who's listening to the show, there's a reason why you're here. There's a reason why you're on the show and listening to my voice, watching me on the live stream. There's a reason. Because you were supposed to be born in this time. Yeah, you've lived 1,000 lifetimes. Some of you who believe that system, that you've been reincarnated and come back. But you're here in this lifetime to do something, even if it's for a short period of time, or for 90 years, or one birth, or one miscarriage. You're here to make a difference in someone's life. You're here to awaken parts of people that are closed off. For years, I didn't know what my calling was. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just kind of went with it. I just kind of flowed with it. And I have a show, but the show is not me. I'm not, I'm part of the show. I'm part of that flow. I'm part of that beauty that flows. And so are you. Your magic is important because your magic is what creates the belief systems we're in, creates the followers that you have, creates the parts that you are. Yeah, there are people who follow you. Believe it or not, there are people who really trust what comes out of your mouth. Even if you don't believe it, believe me, you may not open your mouth and not everybody may listen to you, but there are segments, there are people, there are children, there are elderly, there are grown men and women who will listen to you. And so that's why I'm saying, and I want to stress that because for me, that's super important that you understand that because we all have value, every single one of us. And to say that we're not is a disservice to mankind and womankind. It's totally a disservice to us. A lot of us have never been instilled with beliefs that we are important. A lot of us have never had a parent who said, you can do it. A lot of us have never said, had parents that said, "Hey, you need to do your homework and get done because you need education." A lot of us have said, "You know what? Hey, if you do your homework, you're going to get a good education and you may possibly get a good job." We sell things to people constantly. We sell beliefs and ideas to people constantly. Every single day, we sell things to people. And if you don't believe me, when's the last time you told somebody about a good movie? Oh, you got to go see this movie. It was amazing. Blah, blah, blah. Or this candidate is amazing. You're selling every day. You're weaving your magic. You're weaving it. You're making it. You are. And to believe that you're not a magical human being, you know, it's hard to believe because we have to believe ourselves that we're magical. And so, how do we believe that we're magical? I don't know. It's up to you how you want that to be interpreted. I can't come and tell you what your magic looks like because then I'm projecting my magic onto you. I'm projecting my belief system onto you. So, you have to find it. Look for it. There are tools, there are ways, there are people in your community can help you. I'm not a big village people. A lot of people who know me, I'm not into the big village clan that we're the village. Because in my belief system, because I've been in a village, I know what a village looks like. There's categories, there's labels, and you're put into these little boxes. Okay, Iggy's got to be the court jester because he's funny, and this guy is actually smart, so he should be in the congressman. But I'm a very big community-oriented person. I believe in community. I believe coming together and working together in a community, which kind of sounds like village, but it's not. It's completely different. A community comes together, la la la, and then they go away. We had a community of drummers on Sunday. We came together from different belief systems. We came together sharing our beat, sharing our heart. It didn't matter if we were good drummers or bad drummers, or if we were excellent drummers or not. The point was we came together in the one belief, and that belief was that in our heart, our beat was there. What it sounds like, we don't know. But when it translates through the instruments, when it translates through the dancing, when it translates through the speaking, and through the honoring of another human being, that's why we do these drum circles. This is why we do these ceremonies. This is why we do, because in our mind, our ego parts has to belong to something, has to know, attach itself to something. So that's why I say examine your beliefs. Examine, where did it come from? How did it start? Why all of a sudden you no longer want to be Christian, or you no longer want to be associated with that group or this group or these people? A lot of people fall away from people because of belief systems. And belief systems is not only religious. And I proved that through politics just now. Belief systems is also just things that we do. I believe I'm going to play more soccer because I'm going to get healthier. So examine your belief system. Where did it come from? Who founded it? What happened? Where did it come from? What is it about? Because what happens is if we don't, then we piecemeal it together. We start to create our own version, and that's okay because that's kind of what you want to do in one point. When you sit in the pew, we know it's the Word of God. For example, we're going to use that as an example because that's what they tell us. They said the Word of God is written and translated onto paper, so it can't be wrong. But yet, most of us are pretty educated, pretty smart. We know that a lot of things get translated and the wordings don't translate, or the wordings mean something completely different, or we find the closest word that translates to it. So we don't know. A lot of us believe that the white Jesus on the board, in the painting, is what Jesus looked like. To that person, it probably does. But to other people, Jesus is very dark skinned, bearded like me, stocky. I don't know. But it's our beliefs. Our beliefs is the things that we create. The beliefs is what really pushes us through life. Because we have to believe in something. Humans have to believe. For some reason, we have to believe that we're going to be okay, that we're going to make it, we're going to do all right. Beliefs are strong. And when you take your belief and you incorporate it with magic, you can do anything. You can talk yourself into anything, talk yourself in or out of things constantly. As human beings, we have that gift. We have that power. We have that gift of self-sabotaging. We are the best self-sabotagers. We can sabotage more things about ourselves and what we do and how we associate and what we believe in and what we feel. I mean, we're like number one. Super number one. Number one. We're number one. But why? Why do we do that? So if you ever had a comment, let's say on Facebook, if you ever commented something on somebody and because you didn't believe in it, you're like, oh no, no, that's wrong. I've done it. You've done it. Somebody's done it. What are you really saying? You're protecting your beliefs. You're protecting your values. You're protecting the things that are close to your heart. You're protecting your magic. And to understand when you're doing that, that's okay because you're allowed to believe whatever you want. In this world, we're very, 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 very fortunate that we actually live in a country where we can actually express our freedom of religion, our freedom of speech. You know, I will always, as long as it's respectful and has good taste, respect somebody's belief system because if they write something and I don't agree with it, but I also understand that that's where they're at, that's what they believe, and I can cast a light judgment on that because I have to. The judgment is me thinking what they're thinking. Why would they think that way? So before we judge, sometimes we have to think. So why did Iggy say that? Why did Iggy actually say what he said? Is he being funny? Is he curious what other people would say? But see, a lot of people don't understand. For example, there's a picture of me holding a Coke can. For those of you who've seen that, there's a story behind that. There's a story behind the Coke can. We were at Zippy, which is called the Sweat Lodge, and we were taking pictures, and I was holding the Coke can, and we had this debate, about praying, sending vibration, and changing that vibration in on things. Because we were talking about the Dr. Emoto's, study on the water droplets. When they froze them, the crystallines opened up when they gave it positive energy, how it changed. And then the negative energy that was broadcasted onto the water changed the crystals and made them morph them into like real ugly stuff. I'm a firm believer, and this is my belief, this is my magic, this is where I come from. That if I bless that Coke in that can and I send it the right vibration and send it the right energy, that it would change to benefit me. Will it? Will it not? But see, this is where our belief systems come in. This is where we have belief systems. For a lot of people, the Coke can, I see. I don't drink Coke. That's the other funny part. The Coke changes, will transmute, change into something else completely because I want it and I believe that it's going to change. But so many people are stuck in the old paradigms. Oh, that's bad for you. That eat your stomach acid. Blah blah blah. Oh, you see, those are the belief systems I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about right there. Those little things. For a lot of us, we go, well, I can't drink Coke because it causes diabetes. Whatever. Belief systems are super powerful. How many of us on this live live stream and on the radio who are listening? How many of us? And I mean, how many of us know somebody who has some type of family history of disease or whatever? Okay, now follow me along here. How many of you? How many of you believe the reason that you're sick is because your mom or your dad are sick? Just someone just put little likes or whatever. Let me know because this is important. When I was talking about belief system, where did I say it came from? So the doctors, the first thing they do is they say, "Is there any family history of heart disease? Any family history of diabetes? Any family history of anything that we should know about? Something that we can actually." So you're doing the work for them, helping them out, map out something, some kind of story. And so a lot of us create these stories. Well, my mom has heart disease, and that's why I have heart disease. But I know people whose families are sick and they don't have nothing because they believe that they're not going to get sick. They don't believe that they're going to have a quality of life. They believe. But here's the thing: as much as you want to believe in your subconscious, deepest part of you and the rooted parts of you that you don't share with the world, doesn't believe that. It doesn't. That's why sometimes we find ourselves following in the footsteps of our parents. We do the same thing, the exact same things. We become ill. We become angry. We do this, we do that, we steal, we kill, whatever. But a lot of us, that's the only foundation we have. That's the only basis of memory that we have. Everything that we do, everything. We live, we live life moving into the future and coming into the present moment. There's just moments unfolding into the present. Then what happens to those moments that we've gathered? What happens to them? Well, they get filed up here. They get filed in our memory banks, in our filing cabinet. This brain is super powerful. You could be thinking about something you did 10 years ago. All of a sudden, you're walking down the street going, oh my God, I just remembered all. How many of us do that? But this filing cabinet, it works. It works. But it works really good sometimes. So we associate. We do association. We do association. We start to see things in life that happen to certain situations. Well, that happened. Then all of a sudden, our brain starts going. It starts to find the memory that closely matches that situation, what's going on. And then someone asks you, what do you think about this? And you're going, most of us aren't qualified to answer a lot of questions for people. A lot of us aren't. Let's, for example, if you've never owned a business in your entire life, you can give a reference point from a consumer's point of view, which I get. But if you really wanted to know something about business, uh, even particular type of business, it would probably be a good idea to talk to somebody who's in that business, if they're willing to talk to you, number one, and share the ideas, share the magic, how they got to where they got to. What's their belief system? What carried them there? Why are they there? Just like when I wanted to go into the holistic work that I do, I asked a lot of people. I asked my mentors. I asked my, people who I knew. Some people thought I was crazy. Some people were like, dude, how are you gonna live off that? I've heard it all. I've heard it all. But there comes a point where you have to work the magic that's inside of you. I mean, I know I'm here and I'm pushing and I'm saying some things that you have to, but the have tos are just kind of the push. You got to kind of find and work and look for those pieces and parts of yourself that are kind of stuck. And it's hard to sometimes, very super hard. And I get that. I get stuck. And it's okay to get stuck. It kind of goes along with the show I had back several episodes back about question everything. Questioning everything was an Iggy TV live series. Question everything. There was a reason I asked to question everything because you should. I know faith is important. I understand that faith is one of those things that we should carry and be with ourselves. That pushes us the blind faith. I get that. But in order to examine our beliefs, is order to examine ourselves. Are we in alignment with that? Are you in alignment with the things that you believe today? Do you believe? Do you believe what you believe? Would you give someone advice that was given to you by somebody else? Would you filter it through? We filter everything. Everything we do, we filter. We filter everything that's been given to us and how we share it to the world. And I'm trying to be as naked shamanism here as I can with you. But do you believe in what you believe in? Is your magic strong enough? Do you want to share with the world what you believe in? A lot of us don't. A lot of us would just rather be the spectator. You know what? That's cool. That's fine. Being a spectator is okay because a spectator has a lot of power. A spectator has more power than you could ever imagine. Sitting back and just watching how things play out and how things move is important because see, spectators also are very involved. They actually can change how things are changed by just thinking about it and by watching it. Quantum physics has proven that. Just being the observing can change things. You know, back in the old indigenous ways, way back, I'm talking about way back, before we had these big cities and everything, when indigenous cultures wanted to have water, when they wanted rain, you know, for us to look and see how they do ceremony, we probably don't understand what they're doing. But in some cultures, it was only about stepping to where their crops were growing and feeling what it was like to have rain fall upon you, to associate the emotion and the feeling, that magic of what water felt like falling, to calm the clouds. I'm here to tell you that hasn't changed today. If you look around enough, you'll notice one thing. When it's really hot, we all say, wow, it's really hot. We get to a point where we reach emotional feelings and we say, oh, I wish it would rain. It would be nice to have a break. It would be so nice to have a cool breeze blow through us. And then in a matter of an hour or two, a pop up shower shows up. Oh, but Iggy, that came floating through the atmosphere and came here. Did it? Well, I'm here to challenge you to think maybe differently about that. You know, we have a big play in the world. We have a big play, huge play. If a crop of corn can control the weather, why can't you? A crop of corn, a big crop of corn in Iowa can control the weather. It corn perspires. It sweats like you and I do. And what happens to that vapor? What happens to that sweat? Where does it go? It goes up, right? Where does that go? Up into the atmosphere, up into the clouds. Creates clouds, and the clouds do what? They get caught in the jet stream. The jet streams pull them, and it rains. Even if it's a little bit, it rains. Science is amazing. It's pretty cool. Well, think about all the human beings on the planet. Imagine all them sweating, farting, doing what they do, you know? Imagine all that energy blasted off into the sky. All our energy together, what we can do to keep this planet alive, to keep this planet going. Our way of life suffers when we're not involved, when we're not coherent, when we're not focused on what's right for this planet. This planet will survive without us. That's the news flash. That's my news flash. I get it. If I don't do the appropriate things to help her, then my way of life and my existence will no longer be. That is evident. That is fact. Science has proven that. We have seen it. We have experienced it. Yes, I'm projecting a little bit, but you know what? You know, a lot of you have seen trees be cut down. A lot of you have seen fields wiped away to build new homes. As human beings, there is a breaking point in our belief systems of becoming bigger, more powerful, stronger will affect us. We'll make a big play in what we do and how we live on this planet. There's a lot of us on here on this big blue ball, a lot. Most of us are in concentrations of area. And all of that, imagine all that magic that plays out. Imagine all that magic, how it plays out if only a small group of people control the belief systems of those people there and how they're going to live their lives versus how they would like to live their lives. Most people don't know how to live their lives different because they don't know any different from what they've learned, from where they've been, and what's been taught to them. So imagine why your brothers and sisters who live on the other side of the world do what they do. Imagine what they think about how we live on this side of the world. But yet we all live. We all somehow find a way to survive. Somehow we make it. Somehow we pull together here in America, near in the Middle East, Africa, India, South America, all over the world. Man has the biggest opportunity to do some great things on this planet, to do some amazing things. But the problem is we get in the way. At the same token, we get in the way. In the same token of trying to do the great things, we get in the way. We know, we know that we can survive by using solar energy, wind energy, water energy. We know this fact. We know this belief to be true. We know this magic to be true. But yet we do the things that, are just the complete opposite. Solar energy, the sun is free energy. Free. When the wind blows, that's free. When the water flows, that's free. What I would wish would happen is that man would not charge man for the uses of just simple things like that. I believe that those kind of things should just be an automatic, that we should just have it. But yet, at the same token, doesn't teach responsibility. Then we would abuse and use and maybe overuse. I don't know. But I find that when man and woman use their magic to create better things, we're going to be forced one day. One day we will be forced. We will be put into the system to have to use those sources of energy. My fear is that once we deplete the other sources of energy that we are accustomed to using right now, the fossil fuels, the oils, and the different things like that, when we no longer use them, we're going to be so stifled that we're not going to allow to be use solar panels. We're not going to be allowed to save the water. We're not going to allow to put our turbines in the water. We're not going to allow, you know, it's a system. It's a belief system. It's a somebody else's weaving magic as we weave ours. Somebody else's vision. Somebody else is creating. When you think you're creating, there are others creating too, simultaneously, instantaneously, at the same time. So when you're creating, create what's good for you and share with the world. I encourage people to share the insight that you have inside of you, because the world's waiting for you. The world's waiting for me. The world's waiting for the next generation. But yet we get caught up, oh, the millennials this, or Generation X that. Those kind of stuff, in Iggy's opinion, doesn't make sense. Why are we labeling? Why are we in these categories? Why is that so important? I get what they want to do. I get what they want to say, but we're all in this together. Because if tomorrow the earth cracks in two, what happens? I don't even have to give you an answer to that. You already know what's going to happen. But man will always find a way to survive. Man will always find some way to get through the hard times. So examine the belief systems that you have. Examine those things that you hold true to yourself. Ask yourself, do I believe what I believe in? At all levels, not just religious levels, at all levels. Everything that you believe in, do you believe it? Do you believe what I'm telling you here on this show? Is this important to listen to? Or just passing the time? Or both? I don't know. Maybe this is a moment. These are these special moments sometimes that we just are inspired to share what's on our heart, what's in our minds. We all have that. Like I said in the beginning of the show, you touch so many people. Every single one of you who's listening or will listen or who's watching the live stream, you will touch, you will affect another human being's life. Either for a positive way, adverse way, doesn't matter. You're going to you're going to touch someone's heart, man. And for those of you who want to spectate, that's cool too, because you're the casual observer. You're the observer. You change things as well. So believe in what you're doing. Believe in what's happening in the world. Have trust, have faith. And remember, you are magic. You're magic. You're going to have to find out what that is and what that means to you. Maybe you don't want to use the word magic. Maybe that's because I'm just projecting the word because I don't know another better word right now. You're the miracle. I don't know. The miracle that's you. You are. The world needs you. You, you, me. This world needs us, all of us, to be in some type of alignment together. Because this is the only way we're going to survive and get to where we need to be and do the things we want to do. This world can't be about us. This world's on loan to us from our children. Our children have loaned us this world for those of us children. And vice versa. It's just going to keep going on and on. Our time for us who are close to 50 starts to change a lot about how we think about the world and how we think about life. I remember when I was 20. I remember when I was 30. I remember when I was 40. I'm 49. But I remember in all those stages in life, going through those decades and how I saw the world and how I appreciated and how I didn't appreciate things and how I wish I'd hung on to that and how I didn't do this. Because you know what? Our kids watch us. Our nieces and nephews watch us. The neighbor kid watches us. When you are driving down the road, somebody's watching. People are always learning from one another. So I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what else to say, but to just examine your belief systems. Examine what your magic is, what your miracle is, how you can benefit the world, how you can help the world. The world will help you. Here's the thing, the world will help you if you help it. Okay? If you want a nice lawn, then you need to cut it or get some goats. Okay? Most of us don't have goats in the city. Some of us do. So you have to find the balance between the two. How are you going to work? I'm not saying that we all have to get along. Oh, hey, we don't have to be like that, fakey, and just put up with people. No. Even when we want to present an idea, a thought to somebody that we don't agree with, there's a proper way to do it. There's a proper way to do it. You know, with class, with dignity, with respect. Because you gain more, when you talk to somebody in a proper way, a nice way, than combative. Even your closest friends, talk to them with dignity and respect, how you would want to be respected. Because even though they're your closest friends, you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what's going on in someone's mind. You don't know what's happening in somebody's heart. You don't know if someone wants to give up on life. You don't know. And it only takes one word and one appreciation, one heartfelt moment to accept somebody for who they are. And if you don't jive with somebody, it's better to say, hey, you know what? I don't jive with you. And it's nothing against you. There's parts of me that need to grow up and need to explore and need to, learn. It's really not your story. It's my story, how I project upon you, how I look at you and I see you. And for some reason, I don't like you for some reason, but it has nothing to do with you. There's just aspects of you that I just don't relate to. It's better to be honest with somebody than to bring them along and hurt them and break their heart all the time, or to make fun of them or talk to them, talk about them behind their back. God, spirit, the world, the atheist, we all have feelings. I don't care who you are. We all have emotions. We all have feelings. So when you go trying to explore your magic, read books, listen to the tapes, the people you're around, are you learning from them? Are they learning from you? Is it one-sided? Is it together? Mother Earth's here to remind us constantly. She reminds us every day. Sky Father shines every day in the sky. When the sun shines upon you, I'm sure most of us don't really give it much thought that one day that won't be there. And it doesn't really matter for some people because you know what? They have it now. But one day, and one day, the people who will have the last beam of light hit the earth will be crying. They will cry. It will be the end of the earth, end of our existence. That will happen. That ball up in the sky will burn out, will supernova. It will do its thing, implode on itself, and we will have two things that we have to do: evolve. Something will be here. Most likely not us. I'm not trying to have a doomsday attitude about it. But one day, that great big yellow star up in the sky that we respect, or do we? That we take for granted, will not be here for one generation. One generation will see that thing go away. I would have to say, probably not us, but one will. What would their belief system be like? How would they examine their magic? What would it be like in that day when everything that you bought into and everything you believed into, and you looked up to the sky and you knew that your final thoughts and your final words to the person next to you, around you, is the only thing that will matter? Man has done atrocious things to man. We've done unthinkable things. And for what? I'm still trying to figure that out. Some people say money, some people say land, some people say power. But, I'm going to say it. I think some people just do it because they can. because they can conquer somebody and oppress them, and they can hurt them, belittle them. But we have a chance. We have a chance in this modern world that we live in to make this a better world. And if you don't think our leaders are not listening to us, I have something to say. They are. Our leaders are terrified of us. They just don't want us to know that. They don't want us to know that, that they listen to us and that they're concerned about our concerns. Because right now it's all a monetary system. It's about things and wants and money and power and greed. There will be a day that we won't tolerate that. I don't tolerate it now. That's why I say what the things I say sometimes, just to get people thinking. Yeah, is my approach right? Maybe not. But sometimes you have to say the most craziest things just to snap somebody, out of their ego mind so they can see things. But me, I'm a big promoter of peace, love, and hope. And even though I promote that, sometimes I don't know what that is, what that means, what that what that's about, because everybody has such a big version of what that means. What's love? What's peace? What's hope? How I perceive love is way different than somebody who's listening to the show. Everybody has their version of what love looks like, feels like, tastes like, smells like. Same with hope, same with peace. You could ask somebody what peace means and give you a million answers. So you can ask somebody what hope is and they'd give you a million answers. Actually, what, 8 billion coming up to, if we're not already there? There's a lot of people on this planet. So we're always creating. So the powers to be need to understand that, we outnumber them. And that's what's always fascinating me, that we outnumber the powers to be, our leaders. And yet they have the more control over us that we've given them. Is that a belief system? Examining your belief? Are we going to examine that? Am I going to examine that? How do we weave our magic through that? Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. I know there's a lot of information, a lot of stuff that I shared with you, and a lot of stuff that, to absorb, a lot of things to think about. And I'm appreciative that you took time out of your busy schedules, your lunch schedules, most of you, to listen or to find a nugget or to find a piece or something, or just to hear what I had to say. Because in my belief, this is part of the work that I do, the magic that I do. This is by sharing and to get our minds rolling to thinking. And a lot of us want to do it, but a lot of us don't do it. And I was one of those people who would sit back and said, I'm too scared. I don't want to do that. No one's going to believe me. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Even if you're just looking at yourself in the camera there or the pictures that you post, think about all the things you do. Look at that magic. That magic that you created. You're the weaver. You're the farmer. You're all the beautiful things that this world needs. So I encourage you, if you need help, if you need some kind of direction, find people in your community, either in your lay community, your spiritual communities. There are people there who are willing to share their thoughts and their emotions. They'd be so honored to do that. Honored. Ask. You can ask me. You can find me at iggygarcia.com on Facebook, those of you who know me. Just sometimes it's just a matter of saying, hey, what do you think about this? How do you feel about that? So get out there, make a difference in the world. Do your best. Do your best. Just be the best version of yourself every day. And people will notice. It doesn't matter if they notice. It should matter if you notice. So examine your beliefs and weave your magic. I'm Iggy Garcia. I'll talk to you guys soon. Much love, and we'll see you next time. Peace out, guys. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. I will talk to everybody soon. Mark Matheny will be on. He will be on Thursday, I believe. He'll have his show. and then he'll be on next Wednesday. We got Todd. Also, he has his show on Friday. And then Gypsy Wagon will be this Wednesday at noon with Don Thompson. And I hope you enjoyed this episode of Iggy Garcia Live, episode 11, Examining Belief Systems and Weaving Your Magic. Okay. And so I'm going to sign out and we're going to get out of here and I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my day. All right, guys, take care.